Hey, it's Carrie Flatla here for this week's Friday Fire at Remax Real Estate Lethbridge and Carrie Flatla & Associates. So when the market is hot or soft, there are strategies you can use so that you are pricing as a homeowner for leverage, for strength, to be in the best position possible when you receive an offer. And I want to just talk a little bit about that. I think the question is coming up a little bit more right now in certain price points because the market is so strong in Lethbridge. We have relatively low inventory. I think it's about 2.5 months, maybe slightly more across the city on average. So the temptation is to price high and build in margin for the negotiation. But here's what's wrong with that strategy going into a listing is you're pricing from a position of weakness, not strength. And it matters. And here's how that works is we tend to assume as a homeowner that we have no leverage when we put our house on the market and that the buyer's going to grind us and that we're going to be in a position of desperation and we're going to have to be clawing for money and clawing for what we want in terms of terms and conditions on that offer. However, depending on the price range that you're in, depending on the location in Lethbridge, northwest or south, depending if you're in a buyer's market, seller's market, balance market, how many months of inventory in your price range, in your location, all of those things will factor into your strategy for pricing the home. So it is so important that your realtor take a look at the overall market, or the sandbox I call it, that buyers are playing in when shopping for a house like yours. Once you understand the sandbox you're playing in, the type of market you're playing in, then you look at the comparables. And remember, the only real comparable is a sold. Active listings are not comparables because we don't know what they're going to get for the house and they could be overpriced. But you look at the comparables and then you make adjustments pricing your home against the comparables, okay? And there's a whole art and science to that we've talked about in other videos. But then you go back to what's the market doing and how can I position my home from a place of strength so that I get the most buyers and the most offers the most quickly, because you don't want a buyer who's looking for a deal. You want a buyer who's looking for a home. Same with investment buyers. You don't want an investment buyer who's looking for a desperate seller. You want an investment buyer who sees the absolute value in the property and doesn't want the next investor to take it. So I always say that your first buyer who comes to the table quickly with a written offer in that first couple of weeks on the market, that is your best buyer, and that allows you to negotiate from a position of strength because you have leverage. There aren't 10 other houses that offer the same value that yours does. Now, the first thing that a homeowner will say to me is, well, I don't want to get lowballed. I don't want to get ground down on my price. I want to leave room to negotiate. But that's not the right way to look at it. If you price to the market and price so that you are the top 3 listings in that price range, then you will be able to negotiate closer to your asking price, if not higher than the asking price, depending if other buyers have come to the table to compete. And you will get more for the house than as if you priced it with a huge margin built in for negotiating. Remember, you don't want buyers who are shopping in the margins. You want buyers who are urgent to find the very best property in their price range. And that buyer will pay top dollar if you are positioned correctly for your market, for your price range, for your location. So it's very counterintuitive. Homeowners always want to build in this big margin. But how do you even get an offer? How do you get your best buyer if you've priced yourself potentially out of the market or too high and the buyer can't see the value, and so they're going to lowball you, and then you got to try and drag that buyer up to where you need them to be. And that is a different kind of negotiation because now the buyer has the upper hand. Okay, so price from a position of strength. Now there's lots of other factors, you know, if you have a very expensive or unusual custom home, there's other strategies we need to consider. But when you're in these hot price points, especially, or when you have a house that has lots of good comparables, and we know exactly, you know, not exactly to the dollar, but we have a very clear understanding of market value, price to the market, get an urgent buyer in that first few days. They're going to submit an offer, and they're going to be very eager to work with you as the seller and make something come together in that negotiation. And you're coming from a place of strength. If you have any questions about pricing strategy, please let me know. Give me a call or shoot me a text, 382-7335, or you can look us up at carrieflatla.com. I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, have a terrific weekend, and we'll see you for next Friday Fire. Take care.